pull it up on my screen here. One more quick little setup.
Good morning, Mike. Nice to have you here.
All right. Excellent. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Just setting some things up. We're also live on YouTube channel, so I'm going to let that roll for a minute. If you're just joining us and you've never been to one of these, welcome if it's your first one. And if you're regular or you've been checking out these meetups that have happened once a month for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or so at least. Today's a little bit different because look who's here, Mr. Derek Frank, Hohner's Artist Relations Manager. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's your official title. But you're more than just that, Derek. As far as the Hohner PentaHarp goes, before we jump into any details on what is the PentaHarp and all that, maybe you could go into some of that. This is the harp in question today, but Derek, this is your baby. So why don't you tell them a little bit about why I'm saying that, and because you're really responsible for making this happen, and I don't know that folks realize that. So just tell us a little, just kick it off today, man, and great to have you here at the meetup.
Yeah, it's great to be here, and thanks everybody for joining. Everybody that's watching live and that'll watch later. So the PentaHarp came because I went to college for drums and voice, but I also play guitar. I moved to Nashville as a guitarist, more so than anything else. And when I got the position as artist relations for Hohner, I was like, if I'm going to work with the company and work with the best harmonica players in the world, I need to have a good knowledge of harmonica, at least a little bit of playing and a decent theoretical knowledge of the instrument. Otherwise, I'm doing a disservice. So I called Ronnie, and I was like, Ronnie, I want to take some lessons. And we did a couple lessons, and they were great. The first thing that was so important was learning the single notes, which anybody that already plays knows that. But if we have any people that are new and kind of interested in the PentaHarp that haven't really played a lot, single notes is the first thing you should really focus on. And Ronnie had me doing those in the first day, which was really exciting. So then we did another lesson. But the one thing I was just having a really hard time wrapping my head around was the way that the harmonica is laid out. You know, my whole life, I think, you just grab a harmonica in the key and you play it. That's easy, right?
Yeah.
It's in a key. So that's obviously, we know that's not the case. So I was like, well, Ronnie, I just want to like rip some blues solos. And he's like, well, you got to be able to bend. And like, he's like, it's going to take some time. So just be patient. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not patient. So I walked into the office like right after that. And I was like talking to everybody there. And I was like, has anyone ever made a pentatonic tuned harmonica? And they're like, not that we know of, but it's definitely been brought up before, but it was kind of just shot down. And I was like, okay. And so I went to our tech, Tim Schofield, and I was like, Tim, I want you to make this for me. He's like, why? And I'm like, I want to try it. I think it'd be fun. And so he did. And like a week later, I came back in the office and I was playing, and everybody's like, how much have you practiced? And I'm like, I haven't. Check this thing out. This is so cool. And how he made the original one was awesome. He took an A and a C harp. He made it an A minor.
Yeah.
And he flipped the reed plate around on one of them and then had to change a couple reeds and retune them. But that was how the original one worked, where and it was not nearly as intuitive as these, because with the reversed reed plate, it didn't do as well. But it was still really cool. And I think the first one was on like maybe a blues band.
Right.
I kind of think that was the prototype, was a blues band. So it was pretty airy and
Right. It's not like it is today.
No. So the more that like I got playing it, it was like, wow, this thing's really great and really fun to play and really easy to play. So then we made a couple extra prototypes and sent them to people like Ronnie and Tim Gonzalez and harmonica players mostly. And they all hated it, which I knew. I was like, hey, this would be great for guitarist. Well, then Ronnie started, he like called one day and he's like, guy, or you text us and we did a Zoom call and you're like, you guys have got to see this. And that's when it blew up. It was, you can do all the bends on all the drawl notes. You can do the overblows, the octaves. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea about that. And that was where the PentaHarp really blossomed and turned into what it was. And then it was a thing that, we didn't have any interest in making it, and then it was like, wow, I think we should try this. And
And it was all, again, I want to just reiterate, it was, the whole intention was like beginners, guitar players, people that are not intuitively, have not been playing a standard Richter tuned harmonica. And so you give it to these people like me, like you said, and we're like, what is this disaster? What's going on with this thing? It took a minute for us as harmonica players to adjust to the instrument and the simplicity, understanding what this thing can do before engaging in any high level technique, which we'll do today. I'm going to give you guys some tips, because the scale work that Derek had come up with, this creating the pentatonic scale, is built off of just blow and draw, and you're not having to bend anything. So just to let folks hear that on a C. The best part about it, Derek, is that repeats for 2 more octaves, which mean not like a Richter tuning. It doesn't. The patterns do not remain similar in the sense that you can do this one thing in one register in the same and replicate with the same approach in the next. In the world of the PentaHarp, that is the case, and that makes it even easier to process this instrument. I love it. So. And so you've got this minor pentatonic, but you also have the blues scale. But if you remove one note, you get the pentatonic. But if we keep it in, we get the blues scale. You do have this ability to play this 4-draw bend, I guess we're talking about, which would be equivalent on just to share with people. Let's do it on a key, just to let people hear it. Wouldn't that make sense?
Yeah.
If you had a G pentatonic. Right out of the gates, just to give harmonica players an understanding, the 3-draw half-step bend is built into just without bending on the PentaHarp. That second note is a 3 half-step bend, and then the 4th note is a 4 bend. 2 draw is now a 4 bend, what would have been a bend. So these 2 bends have converted to just simply draw notes, and you got a blues scale and a minor pentatonic, and you can play the major pentatonic. We'll talk about that today, which is really opens up so many doors. What else? Anything else you want to share about sort of like the maybe not epiphany moment, but sort of like that early time when you were like guys were creating it, and any sort of insight that you want to share outside of what you already did?
Yeah. So I think the octaves were such a huge thing with doing that 2-hole block, doing.
Yeah.
So you almost get like an accordion kind of sound, and it just adds, and it's so easy to do comping. You can do a blues comping just by blow notes on 1, 2, 3 holes.
Yeah.
Super simple. So again, beginners, this is a great instrument. But the thing that, like, for me, not being a harp player, the more I play this, the better I'm getting at the Richter tune because of 2 things. One, I thought, oh, I've got this. I'll never even have to use a Richter tuned. Well, there's things it won't do. It's a different tool. It's like guitarist tuning to different tuning. You know, like you can't play Rolling Stones tunes without doing open D tuning. You just can't. This is the same way, but now since I've built the dexterity of playing without having to do all the advanced techniques to do simple solos, I can hear it better and I can feel it. And so when I'm playing a Richter tune, I just automatically know like where to go and where to bend. So it's kind of funny. I'm gonna start calling it like the gateway drug harmonica because it's making me want to play Richter tune.
There's advantages to both. I just want to point out that the idea behind the PentaHarp was not in any stretch to replace the Richter tuned harmonica. No. It was an additional tool for guitar players first, let's say, using a rack. It was also for those that are starting and want to get a sense want to be musical out of the gates without having to build up the skill set necessary. And in the Richter tune world, we say Richter, that's the standard tuning on a harmonica you've played, on a 10-hole harmonica from any manufacturer, just the standard tuning. That's not the case. We got to build up skill before we can be, as you said, rip the blues, you know? So it's that sound I make it sound easy, but I know that it took years to control the bend to make it sound usable. So, okay, I want to feed off of what you said about the octaves, folks. For again, whether you play harmonica or not, check this out. When you play octaves on a Richter, you can do that all the way up on the blow octaves. Same with this one. By covering 2 holes. But on the Richter, we can only do that in 1 octave. That 2-hole cover doesn't do any octave work anywhere else on the draw, on inhale. These are not octaves, these are splits. They're not, you can hear they don't have that shimmer. They're not the same note. An octave means we're playing the same note out of each side. But this, we don't have to change that embouchure. So on the draw, and so it's simplifying everything. Just breathing in and out. I'm not trying to bend. I'm not trying to jump holes. I'm just using octaves and moving around. And Derek's right. You start to get this big sound like an accordion or organ sound. Kind of amplify that. You can put some effects on that. And there's another reason as a harp player to consider it. It's changing the phrasing and the tonality of what we're playing. And to me, anything that does that, I'm interested in. I may not be a full-time PentaHarp player, but I'm absolutely, as a harmonica player, way more than just a little curious. I'm using these on gigs now. Derek, you know that. I'm using it to limited capacity, but as a harp player, I can tell you that 10th position, which we'll talk a little bit about, is really exciting. But maybe we could back it up and just give some tips to total beginners. So let's talk about it for those tuning in on my channel, on the YouTube channel. Most of you guys are harmonica players, but some of you are beginners. So if you're looking to buy a PentaHarp, I want to encourage you to go up to the chat box if you're in the webinar, and that's at the top of the chat. There's a link. But also, you could just type in to Google Cellist Lesson Squad and just go to that page, and you'll find my Lesson Squad page where I'm going to get a few bucks on the sale. It helps me out. It's an affiliate link. And you can choose, I think it's Sweetwater or Guitar Center to buy that. But backing it up, I think a lot of people have an A. So let's just take, if you're wondering, because we get these questions a lot, what key should I buy first? My answer, Derek, to them is always, what key do you want to play it in? Like, what do you want to do with it? But I would say A and C are safe bets if you're totally unsure. A and C, what would you say?
A is the best because a lot of blues are in A minor, and then you can play over the relative major, which is C. I think the epiphany for me was I was listening to LaGrange one day, and I was like,
yeah,
that's all pentatonic. I mean, most ZZ Top is all pentatonic, and I was like, I wonder. Like, that's just blow, 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 draw, blow.
Yeah,
simple. And
it's right there.
You can rip the solos without having to worry. It's
yeah. So what other, before I give any beginner tips, what other artists, what are the kind, like for example, Jimi Hendrix, what are the kind of players where you're like, oh, it's got minor pentatonic all over it, where you'd say, I would consider it for this style of music? To me, it's endless, really. I think the answer could be almost anything. But
it can be, because it's such a versatile scale, but every Led Zeppelin song.
Okay, yeah.
Ever, a lot of like Clapton. I know I was playing some Sunshine of Your Love the other day with it.
Yeah.
And
that kind of thing. Yeah, it's all built into just being clear, in and out. We're not even bending yet at all.
Yeah, and of course, everybody's favorite, Smoke on the Water. So now, not just guitar players can annoy people. You can do it too.
It's fun, though. It's a lot of fun to find these melodies that are all over the place. I was working on a few PentaHarps ago. I shared the work song, Nat Adderley's classic instrumental. Ba-da-da-da-ba-ba-da-da-da. I can share some tabs. For those that want some of that, you can also just email me directly.
And you can also go to pentaharp.com, and we've got the tab generator. So if you have guitar tabs, you can transfer those over.
Let's give one beginner tip.
Okay.
And then I'll bring up that site because that will help us have a conversation about what's available up there for folks and how to navigate the site. Beginner tip is what Derek said. Get your single notes. If you're not getting a clean single note, you can tongue block or play a pucker. But your goal is to get a single note and just breathe in and out to become familiar with moving around in scale notes. So you're puckering and you're sticking it deep inside of your lips and really puckering to get one note, or tongue blocking by placing the tongue over the holes to the left that we want to block and trying to focus on just one hole out of the right side. And just blowing and drawing through the length of 4 holes, and really the 4th hole is the upper tonic note. So really, it's really 3 notes, 3 holes you need. That last note's on 4 below, etc. So beginner tip is just get yourself playing clean notes and maybe learn. Let's pull up the website real quick. Maybe learn a little bit of the here's the website. You just go to pentaharp.com. Check it out. When you're here, Derek, what would you say is the first stop on this page?
I think watching the 2 videos.
These 2?
Yeah, the guitar tutorial versus the player's reaction with Ronnie. Now, I will say, the only one of those 3, and really the only actual harp player that the second they grabbed it and understood it, was Jason Ritchie. Jason was like, "Oh yeah, man, I think everybody learning should have one." And he just could play. I mean, it's Jason though. What do you expect? But
what did you
He
expect?
was just like playing it immediately. It was so crazy. But I think it's great to see like the guitar player's perspective on it, and then seeing the pro player's perspective.
Yeah. So like, interestingly, it is like a tool because of that scale doesn't require any bending. I want to point out that every hole has the ability, if it were customized, let's say, to overblow. So just understand that this could be a fully chromatic instrument in the right hands. It is not intended for that. I also want to show you guys this chart real quick before we do anything else. This is very helpful because now we're taking a look at what we're actually playing. This is showing you that it's an A pentaharp because that's the first blow note. It tells you the key of the harp. But look what's going on. On the 2nd, 5th, and the 8th draw, there's these little, you're calling them a semitone, and really what's happening is you're able to bend this note, but it's really more of like it's not as much of a usable note as this half and full step that we can move down on
Like
every
inflection.
Inflection is the word, yeah. And so I don't really know that semitone is the right word because that to me implies that half step.
Yeah.
Maybe, but either way, know that these holes move a little. And 5. Every bend is applicable to some extent, but we've got all these notes here to play around with. On hole 1, hole 3, 6, and so on. By the time you get to these upper draws, you can bend these. Hold on a minute. Take a minute as a harmonica player and understand how cool and expressive this becomes. So in the right hand, you're milking all these we're starting to move across into other positions, but the point is that it's capable of so much. So that was a huge whoa. Like I called Derek. I'm sure Derek was annoyed that first week. I was like, and guess what else?
No, I thought it was great because then it just legitimized what we were doing. And
yes.
I never expected. I would have never figured that out.
And check this out, everyone. This chart, the key of the harmonica is the key of the harmonica. Obviously, we want everyone to consider using it how it was designed, which is first position, we'll call that. The key of the song is the same as the key of the harp. We blow and draw to get the minor scale. Don't be fooled. Minor pentatonic, for those that are new to music, doesn't mean we need to play minor.
Right.
we don't need to play, we can play that across a major tune and it's going to sound great. So just if you're confused on that, we still are in the minor scale, playing a minor scale over a major tune, no problem, or minor over minor. And then what this is showing you is the relative major, hence the word major. So if the song's in E flat, you'd be on a C minor. And I think you talked about the A harp, E flat major, C major to an A minor harp. So we could talk about a little bit of the relative major. I've got some scales to share with everyone that I can pull up in just a minute. So there's a plethora of information at pentaharp.com. And not only that, but you can find tablature. You can generate, your own tablature if you're a guitar player wanting to take your ideas and see how they would lay out on the harmonica. It will transpose, it will convert that to you into harmonica tablature. Right, Derek?
Yeah, that's exactly what it does. And it's super simple to use. Plus, at the bottom, there's a page that has 10 songs, like familiar songs that are already tabbed out for you. So a little bit up.
A little bit up.
Right there, the 10 songs to get you started.
Okay.
If you click that, that has several songs that are already tabbed out on the harmonica, so you can start playing some famous songs: "Amazing Grace," "Blues Riff," "I Love Rock and Roll." So all kinds of great stuff.
Well, you brought up something cool. You said it in passing, but the blues progression, you alluded to the fact that you got the outline for, that's what, just to give you an idea of, everyone knows what Amazing Grace sounds like. So these down arrows are breathe in and up arrows are blow. But when you think about this, you're playing, what this is an outline for 12-bar blues from the approach of, say, a guitar and or bass line. That was just the outline of, kind of what we call a box pattern. Let's say.
Right. And then you can do that same thing with octaves as well. Actually, all of these you can do with octaves. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you can, but you would need to start that 3 blow. Maybe we'd move that whole thing. Would be a bigger jump. You can do it though. Versus. And why would you want to do this? And somebody out there is going, man, I could just do this on my regular harmonica. There's a million reasons. One, it's just helping you understand where the notes are. You're familiarizing yourself with the note location. But also, it's a totally different sound, like we keep saying. To be able to leave that in all octaves, you can't do that on a Richter tune. It's just, the gymnastics are complex. So it's really cool, man. It's a eye-opening thing. The more you have it in your mouth, the more you play it, the more you discover. I'd come back here and check this out for sure. Check out the whole page. And have a minute and just learn like you see up there, Amazing Grace. Learn a simple melody first. So that's tip number 1, is get your single notes and your simple melodies. If you're unfamiliar with bending, that's a whole another conversation in general. But once you learn how to bend, let me just talk about bends from first position. As Derek has pointed out, we designed with this minor pentatonic such a great skill to utilize without having to bend. So what would we do with these bends in first position? It's clear what to do with them in other positions when I point it out, because it's part of the scale. But what do we do with these outside scale notes? Well, you bring them into the note to introduce the note. So I'm going to play blow draw pattern for you. Maybe I should just share some music to do this, so you can hear it, the action, hear this harmonica.
So we got an interesting question on YouTube, and I do want to address it, because some people do this. Like I said, Hohner's really pushing this. Why not just encourage people to play properly instead? You probably didn't catch the beginning. As a guitarist standpoint, this was created as an extra tool. We want people to play Richter tune because, that's we sell millions of them a year. But the reason is to have an extra tool for learning. If you're tired of hearing people play stuff on the rack, like certain famous folk artists, and then you complain about those people the way they play, that's what this is to eliminate. It's so people can play solos and play those different melodies and not just sit there and go and play, Piano Man style stuff. So that's what it's for. I think Ronnie agrees that I don't think it's a gimmick or a shortcut.
Not even. No, it's not. It
But
doesn't
it's also
replace
not a replacement.
It's not a replacement. That's all you need to know. So, Gary, I mean, I appreciate you bringing up this point. You're not the only one that has asked this or mentioned
Oh
that.
no, by no means. And I actually like
Yeah.
that question. I think it's a great question.
So, like, just consider this. First of all, the instrument's capable of things that, just as a recap, that the Richter tune cannot do. So, it provides you with more tools in your tool belt as a harp player. It provides an instant connection to being musical for those getting started or those who are musicians that don't play harmonica like guitar players that want to add the instrument to their repertoire. It's not supposed to be a shortcut. It is supposed to be another tool. So just, I mean, fair enough. And maybe it's not for everybody, guys. We're not here to say, yeah, everyone should be out playing these. It's just another tool. But let's listen to it. Maybe that'll
Yeah.
change your mind a little bit. I've got some. Let's just talk about the relative major, man. This is an interesting little.
Yeah, this was cool when you started throwing this out there, which I knew I had played a little bit over the relative major, but not quite like what you were doing.
Let me see if I can get this music to come through my thing real quick because it's being finicky.
And while you're doing that, a lot of people have also asked why the layout that we have. They're like, well, it's 6 notes. It's not pentatonic. It's still technically a
Yes.
pentatonic scale
5
with
notes.
the blue note, because even though it is 6 notes, it doesn't make it a hexatonic scale. Hexatonic
Yeah.
scale is a different scale. But we say you paid for 5, you get 1 for free.
You get one for free. Here, let me show you guys what this scale. You guys see this relative major scale right here? So look, once again, it's only one step beyond the intention of the first position. We're playing in a different position. Forget 10th. Don't let that fool you. Beginners, you would want this. It's just telling you we're going to play in C major on an A harp. This is a draw. These are blow notes when there's nothing indicated. First video I saw of somebody doing it well was Nick Clark. I don't know if he's still listening, but Nick put up a video. You can look on YouTube playing some wonderful, just simple melodic stuff like this. So I will leave this. You guys still see that? I'm going to leave that up and put some of this music on. Let me show you where I am. So you get that I don't need to do anything but just work the scale. And I could jump. My strategy would be for a beginner, like I'd take a beginner, they'd play up and down. Then they would work on jumping holes. And I wasn't good at managing the mouse and playing. I did a terrible job. I'll do better in the next demo. But you could see that this scale lays out very friendly. There's no bending needed. Just want to point this out. If you own one and you're using it in first position, blow, draw, blow, draw. You don't really need much instruction. You need time in and experiment, learn melodies. But as a person who has gotten past that, your goal would be to step into that relative major stuff. The next step, maybe I could just share it on the C PentaHarp. More relative major. Threw in a draw, that didn't work. Lots of space, it works super well. So you get the idea for relative major. It's going to be great.
Gary the singer said he likes playing rockets. Are the comb holes large size as well? They're not. It's the exact same comb as a Special 20, but they're the exact same reed plates, so all you have to do is put a rocket comb or cover plates, and you've got a super powered. I've got a few. I've got them put away. because I didn't want to show them off when we're talking about this one and get people confused. But man, the Rocket amps with the PentaHarp reed plates are boom. It's my favorite. It's my absolute favorite.
I don't have that. I need to convert one of mine.
I think I could make you a few. I could
That would
probably
be
handle
kind of
that.
nice to have that because I love the rocket, the feel of the rocket, and the sound of the rocket
Yeah,
based on the materials and the way that the cover plate's
and they
designed.
look great. They look so cool.
For
Um,
for those that don't think that stuff matters, it does.
it does.
Like the thing about it is the more you play it, the more you can hear the difference between a rocket and a special 20. So for those things, it's another gimmick, just buy a special 20. Not really. It's not does not sound the same and it doesn't feel the same to play it. So it makes you play differently. It makes you think of different things.
I actually have a comb that Tom made me from Blue Moon, and it's so great. I love like the custom combs, whether it's him or Todd Parrott's doing custom combs now. I know Andrew does stuff. There's a lot of people that do them, but I welcome people to customize. That's where the guitar mentality kind of comes in too. I've had a lot of people like, well, why didn't you do? I would rather have it laid out like this, and it's so close.
Yeah.
I challenge people, go ahead and do it and send it to us. I want to see what you come up with. I want to see like different tunings because that's the cool thing about this. Anybody can make this tuning now.
Right.
And if you have a way that you like to modify it, send it to us. I want to see it.
Yeah, and so here's another question that comes up a lot. So I'm going to throw it out there. Why would I not just buy a Hohner or a Lee Oscar? What is it called? The minor. There's two of them. There's Melody Maker stuff, but I'm not talking about Melody Maker. Just natural minor, and then what's
Yeah,
the other one?
relative
Relative.
or
So
harmonic.
harmonic.
And we make those in marine bands as
Marine
well.
bands. So why not? Let me just give you the layman's term from a guy that's not a big theory head approach. I don't think like that when I'm playing music, or I didn't learn that way, because there's a huge difference. The tuning is totally different. First of all, it's why not play it? I'm not saying you shouldn't. Maybe you should buy one of those and check them out. It's just a totally different tuning. So when you're playing those natural minors, you're playing in second position pretty much. That's what people do with them. They pick them up and the chords are tuned minor and there's some notes that are different from your Richter tuning, so it makes the scale minor. So why wouldn't I just do that? It's a totally different note layout. When you pick up the PentaHarp, you'll see right away. So I will point out though that the chords are less of a rhythmic thing on a PentaHarp. We're not sitting there chugging like. But you could use these as embellishments, and they sound very cool to use these chords musically in certain context. Have you been finding any application for these chords, and how do you use them?
Actually, I like to do like a power chord thing. So if you just block one hole on the blow notes, it's like a power chord on a guitar. Let me grab one of my guitars.
Yeah, because it'd be cool to understand that. I haven't been using them. I'm using this as a melody-based instrument. That's just
So
plain.
a power chord would be. So it's definitely more in that guitar player world, and I think it'd be important to show where the PentaHarp scale came from. So on guitar, every guitarist knows the scale. That's like the first scale you learn if you're gonna solo or do anything, and it's the exact same as the PentaHarp. It's just up down up down up down up down, blow draw blow draw blow draw blow draw. So
Cool.
that's where it came from.
Yeah, and so back to this little chart that I had up. I should show you this. I did not talk about it when I had it up, so let me do that real quick. This little thing I didn't. I'm happy to just if you'll email me at info@harmonica123.com, I'll just send it to you if you need it. But this scale, if you are going to bend, that's a full step, that's a half step, that's a half step, full step, half step, half step. Then you do have access to a minor blues scale, and it sounds killer. C minor on an A. pretty soulful. And so by bringing in a little bit of bending and moving the root note, the tonic, to the one draw here, that puts us in C, C minor. This would be the same up here in the middle. So once you get used to this, which is very similar to like playing third position minor pentatonic, the pattern's slightly different here, but it's very easy to follow. There's no blow notes. You get, dude, I'm telling you guys, I live in this position, this blues scale, for when I pick it up often, because as a harp player, I'm addicted to these bends, and I do want some of that soulfulness that the bends provide. So let me just, I could try to play a tiny bit for you guys to share with you what it would sound like. Maybe we pick up a different key. I've got all these keys that you guys have sent me now. This is a G, but if you're in B flat minor.
Yeah, I like the low F a lot too. That one's one of my
Ooh, yeah. I've got a low F to share too. 10th position. Y'all hear that okay? This stuff can, you tell me that doesn't sound bluesy, then you are, I don't know where you're living.
Now,
but
Ronnie,
like
Ted had a great question in the Zoom chat. He said, "How do you keep from getting confused between the differences in blow draw patterns when you jump from from the Richter to the pentatonic?"
Great question. Okay,
Amazing.
it's very easy for me because I engage in visualizing where I am when I play. I see patterns. So in the first position, I don't have to think. And that's the beautiful thing about first position on a pentatonic. Sorry, pentaharp, not pentatonic, pentaharp. So I just blow and draw. I don't have to think, okay? So I'm just breathing in and out. But let's say I'm used to playing cross harp. Most of you guys that are harmonica players are used to playing the patterns totally different. And I want some of that bluesy, and now I'm in this other position I just shared with you. I simply just adjust the visualization. So I see it before I play it. And that comes with playing it enough to get some muscle memory and writing it out so you can see what it looks like in your mind to move. Like right now, I don't need the notes to see that they're all draw, for example. On 10th position, how do I remember? There's no blow notes. That eliminates half the harp right there. Or, well, not quite half because there's notes on the... Well, with overblows, it does kind of eliminate half the notes. So now I just know that I just need to visualize draw notes, and I'll sit here and have a minute and go draw, draw. Now I know that I have 3 notes available in the scale that I need to play in the next, and there's no blow notes, so it's the lowest bend, the middle bend, and the draw. Then I got a bend and a draw on the next hole. And the scale's over. So I see it is the answer, and I organize it in my mind that way by positions on a Richter. I see by octave how the scale looks, because by octave on a Richter it does change. On a pentaharp it doesn't. So it makes everything easier.
Another good question. Isaac said, "What kind of 2-hole shakes are available on the pentaharp? On Richter, really only useful ones are 3/4 draw, 4/5 draw, and occasionally 7/8 draw. But are there others on the pentaharp?"
Yeah, good question, Isaac. And you're right. Those are the primary kind of head shake areas. Let's not forget 2 and 3 draw on a Richter. Less common. You're right, though. So what's available? Anything you want. Anything you want. I'm just blowing and drawing.
That's actually really awesome. I haven't heard that before.
So check it out. Let's apply it to something immediately. Let me just share with you a first position. First position. I got all these little C pentaharp, E flat major. No. Pentaharp, C major, relative. Let's just put something on. Not that. Let's not put that on. Stop that. That's silly. Don't do that right now. We already did some of that. Let's put on. No, that's more silliness. It's just too goofy, too folky. Not goofy, you guys. First position, C minor. Hold on. I want to find. Here we go. Here's all the stuff I was trying to find. So this is in C minor. So I pick up a C harp. Just warbles. Let's mix it up a little. First position. Here's a tip. The big tip is that when you're in first position, which we should be talking about the most today, and you're just playing this blow draw, the focus is you can do a lot of focus on the blow notes. And as harp players, we're not used to using a lot of the blow notes for warbles and whatnot. Maybe a little bit of 4/5. Start using them because they're going to all work well, and they're all scale notes. So anything you're playing should work. It'll all be in tune. You can't play any bad notes if you've got the right harp in your hand for first position on a PentaHarp. Not the case for a Richter tune, but for this PentaHarp, you cannot go wrong. So anywhere in this progression, I should be able to just hold a note. The creative decision making is all up to you, but the process has been made very easy by Hohner and by Derek. So all you have to do is be creative with it. But like some might think, well, you're trapped in this box. You just blow dry. No, you're not, you guys. You have to jump scales. You have to jump notes rather. So you have to take time to go. You have to see what happens when you find new intervals besides just the next scale note.
Plus, do you find that when you're playing the PentaHarp that because of the patterns being so different, that you're actually playing different stuff?
Absolutely. Like I'm finding ideas where I'm like, what would that have been on the Richter harp? How do I play that? Like, here's a good example. Like a Sonny Boy riff that I would have played, like a draw, blow, draw, like 3 draw, 4 blow, 4 draw on a Richter. And then I pick this thing up and move up to like 4 and 5 and do the same pattern. It's not the same riff, but it's a similar sound that can be played. So triplets are a big hot spot. And I'm always hearing like little, if you bring these bends into these blow draw patterns, to me, it's starting to bring in what I crave again in harmonica in general, which is that soulfulness. So, What if it's like taking a minute to get used to how to bring in, when you find the bends in first position, the application of that bend to color a note.
Paul had a comment. He said for chords, he does a nice boom chuck with 1 blow bass, then 3/4 blow chuck double stop. Good for Mississippi blues groove sound. So I think
Something like that. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a lot of really cool things you can do with comping. I've actually played harmonica on a couple tracks recently where I'm pretty much just comping and then adding just some swells in there. Kind of like if you hear a background guitar part when you're doing recording sessions, you don't want it to sit out in the front. So I think that guitar approach for harmonica, like if I want a harmonica solo, I'm going to call somebody like Ronnie to record it. But if I want it to just be a background thing, I can do those really well because it's a lot of note swells and comping. So you can do a lot of things like that, and just keep it very simple.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's funny because when you think about padding from an organ player, what the coolest stuff they do is the simplest. It's
Yeah.
just like a bop, 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 just these little cool support, like in and out stuff. And because we don't have to bend, you could actually just.
Yeah.
And I'm just using right there on a C harp, C penna, 3 draw and 4 blow, 4 blow. And the 3 draw was that other note. And so, yeah, the padding is a great way to think about using the PentaHarp and coloring. Just as a guitar player, and I play a little guitar too. I don't play rack playing with the harmonica in the rack, but I do play and I have tried that. But then it really becomes nice because instead of just playing the melody and solo section, you can just be like, you could sing a line and kind of just bring in a little sound, right? It's more about creating sound at that point and coloring. I like the application here, and I think that the coolest thing is that I guarantee you this. If you bought one and you're still feeling lost, hit me up for these scales and start playing with the scales that I talked about today outside of just blow and draw, so you can expand your repertoire with the PentaHarp. But if you're a guitar player, just start getting into experimenting. There's nothing. The thing is tuned for you, so you can do no wrong. It's about what you can do right with it.
And you mentioned Nick before, but check out Nick Clark. He's really got the best grasp of playing the PentaHarp with the guitar.
Yeah, he does. Yeah,
Because that like what he does with it is exactly my idea of what I thought it would be great for. Like everybody complains that, oh, this singer or this guitarist, they just grab a harmonica and they sound, it sounds horrible. Well, now what if they can just go to it, they're playing a show and they just want to do like one solo or one little thing and they pull it out and it doesn't sound like the bad stuff that everybody complains about? Isn't that what we want? We want more harmonica players. We want people to play them well. So let's give them a good tool.
Yep. It's exciting. Now let me see what I have forgotten today to mention. Let me just think about it. A little recap might help.
Yeah.
Focus on your single notes. Find a melody after you've played around with just playing the scale in all 3 registers. Find a simple melody you can play. Understand where the bendable holes are. Holes 2, 5, and 8 draw are just inflections. They're not bendable in the way every other hole is. We say that again. Holes 2, 5, and 8 on a PentaHarp, it only moves just a tiny bit. We're not bending. So understanding where they are from the chart at pentaharp.com is very useful. And get a sense, if you are bending, on how to bend. Just feel what it feels like to be able to move. They all move the same distance. Hallelujah. In a Richter tune harp, you have to memorize how many bends are available in this one. You don't have to do that. There's 2 half-step bends available in every hole except for 2, 5, and 8 draw. So now you know. So it's there. Are these upper ones so usable? Maybe not on an E PentaHarp today.
The E's pretty shrill at this point.
So is a D if you're going to get technical with maybe.
And eventually, we're hoping to have a low E. And people do ask a lot, when are you going to get the rest of the keys?
Low E would be great.
Low E would be really cool. I know that's a little bit harder, but one of the biggest questions is, when are you going to have the rest of the keys? Well, originally, this wasn't going to be released internationally, but the demand was so big, so that happened. But also still, I know everybody uses the pandemic as an excuse, but it's just production times and getting the raw materials. It's not even so much production. It's getting all of the materials from, everywhere we have to get them is very difficult. So everything's delayed right now. I will say that we do have a great stock of Richter tune harmonicas right now. We were pretty low on stock for a few months, but now we're pretty well caught up. Blues bands, marine bands, special 20s, crossovers, rockets. So don't be afraid to get them. But I do tell people, buy now, because production stuff is going to slow down again. It will probably continue the next few years, unfortunately. So don't wait and think that they're going to be in stock. I mean, I have artists that call every day like, hey, I need this. I might not have it, so buy stuff now.
And the low F is your only true low tuned PentaHarp available.
It is.
Let's hear this thing. Oh, we didn't say it, but it's worth pointing out. If you just take away the 2 draw, there's your true minor pentatonic. Just to be really clear for somebody that doesn't get that. Put the 2 draw back in as the blues scale, technically. The nice thing about the low F, I want to say it puts you in A flat for 10th position. May not be as common. But boy, if you want to start bending up here, it's friendly.
That's really funny because Mike just asked, are blow bends available on the high end?
Okay, so let's talk about that. Thanks for the great questions today, you guys. Really appreciate your thoughtful questions. Overblows are available. Let me explain something. I'll try to keep this as short and to the point as I can. The difference between blow bending, because it's the most misused term in the harmonica community. The difference between blow bending and overblowing is one is flatting a note, making it lower, bending of any kind, blow bending or draw bending. Overblowing is not what you do up on the top end typically on a Richter tune. That's blow bending. It's flatting the note. Overblowing on a Richter tune harp happens on the bottom. It raises the pitch, raises the note. Now that you understand the difference, you can overblow across the whole damn thing. So what does that mean? That means they're always raising the pitch. These are no longer blow bends because it's not raising the pitch. Those are overblows. So when I get too low on a low F, it's very difficult to overblow. You'd have to either have it customized and work on your technique. These things weren't designed for that anyway, so just to be clear, but it could be done. So you can overblow quite easily on the high end of some of these lower ones, like an A, like a B flat is where, and a low F. It's very doable to now get some of these notes that just were very difficult to find on a Richter tune harmonica without a whole lot of finagling as far as like what you want to do to the harmonica and tweaking the reeds and all this stuff that some of you are into potentially. So for some, it might be exciting, like, cool, no, I want to be able to do everything and I like to fiddle with it. Then you can do that. You can customize your harmonica. These play like a special 20, which is one of my favorite playing harmonicas. That's what they're modeled after, just if we haven't said it. They're totally airtight. I've never adjusted anything. I don't know how to do that stuff, you guys. I've never opened up and adjusted. I've done one thing in my whole life to a harmonica. I took a toothpick and I plinked a reed because I had a note that was sticking. So I was raising it away from the cover, from the reed plate. That was probably about 15 years ago. I've never opened it up since, nor did I open it up before. I don't know how to tune a harp. I understand the mechanics of what to do, but I've never done it. But you don't need to. These play. If you hear that, there's no leaking air. These are made very well. You'll be happy with the setup on the PentaHarp. I'm giving you my word because I have now in front of me 7 keys. So
there are 7 keys. And you know, coincidentally, and this actually wasn't on purpose, but our flex case is 7 spaces. And I'll tell you what, if anybody buys all 7 from Ronnie's Lesson Squad link, whether it's through Sweetwater, Guitar Center, you have options to buy it. If you buy all 7 and you send me the receipt or Ronnie the receipt, I'll send you one of these for free.
Ooh, that's a sweet deal, man. That's cool. Yeah. And I love that. Just to promote, you guys, I'm not messing around. I love these. I use these. I stick 2 together, you know, and I've got 14 keys. And I totally use these.
I also use them for pocket knives. So I'm gonna do the one side PentaHarps, the other side pocket knives. Maybe we can get some Hohner pocket knives.
Ooh, I like the way you think. I need a new one of these. Can we connect later? Because I want one just for my PentaHarps because I have them in different places now. And I'm
of course. And I just thought of that while we were sitting here. So this wasn't like a planned deal.
No.
If anybody, and even if you've already bought all 7, if you can just send Ronnie or myself in like an email or a message and just say, hey, I've got all 7. Here's where I got them. I'll send you one of these.
That's really cool, man. I love this little case for portability. And I love
the fact that they've got
the material.
They come with Velcro on the back too. So like you can't see it because it's kind of dark in here and the way I like it set up. Yeah. So you can put 2 together. So then you have 14.
Yeah, and it works very well. And my favorite part is Well, just the ease of use of the case, but I like the material.
Yeah, that
Those that
neoprene's
haven't been
great.
playing, yeah, the neoprene. Because why? Because a lot of other older cases, without bashing some names and other, they were made out of this rubber that disintegrated and gets into your harps. It's very dangerous, actually. This is a very safe material. And it just, to me, that's extremely important for my health as somebody who relies on my lungs. I want them to be clean and healthy. All right, does that count for me in the UK? I got a full set.
I can see what I can do. Still send me a message, or Ronnie, and I might be able to connect with our distributor in the UK and see if we can help you out because
I
we
can
definitely.
vouch. This is he's a very stout supporter of me and of Hohner, and I think that yeah,
I'm sure I could work something out.
maybe something could be
Yeah.
worked out. Maybe there'll be a partial sort of a thing. He's like, just kidding, no problem.
No,
Well,
no,
maybe there's
I
a way
want
that he
to.
can chip in for part of the shipping or something, so that it can offset the cost. And
I'm sure I could figure something out. I've got
yeah,
some resources.
there you go. It's better to utilize your local resources for that, I would imagine, instead of
Totally.
shipping it all the way across.
Oh yeah, no. We could talk to our UK distributor or something and figure something out for you. But yeah, I appreciate that support too. That means a lot. This is it was a scary thing putting this out because you don't know if it's gonna bomb. We pretty much knew we'd get a lot of a backlash from harp players, and that was totally fine. The goal of this is to get more people involved and more people playing. And if that means giving a different tuning and giving different people inspiration, by all means. We already know that we love our customers we have. They're devout to the products that we already have, but we want new people to play.
Yeah. I really appreciate you being here, man, today. I hope we get to see you again in future
Totally.
meetups for the PentaHarp. We're trying to, there's no guarantee, but as far as today, we're trying to commit to one a month indefinitely until we say otherwise. So just be on the lookout for the next date coming and share the message. Tell folks you know that might be interested that this is happening. Of course, this is running through my YouTube channel. If you want to catch the recording, you can catch that. Big difference is if we can do this again and you're there live, you can ask your own questions and interact. So great questions today. That's all I got to say. This is
Yeah.
one of the best ones as far as the questions that were asked. Hey guys, I'm in the process of setting up a live Twitch stream. PentaHarp's so flexible and how you play. That's very cool.
Yeah, I love
There you
Twitch
go.
as well. So make sure you send us the links. I'd love to watch it.
And any follow up questions, Derek? Is there a contact that you'd be okay with sharing, or no? With
Yeah.
home?
Yeah, of course. I would do derek.frank at khsmusic.com. That's KHS, killing him softly. That's not what it stands for, but it's the easiest one to go with. So Derek, DEREK .frank at khsmusic.com.
And my contact's just info at harmonica123.com if you want to send me a message.
Yeah, I love answering questions about the PentaHarp and doing some demos and stuff. I never set out to be a harp player, but this has honestly made me play way more Richter tune than I ever wanted to.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's
Right. It's
great.
pulling. I love that it's becoming, like Jason said, like you mentioned, it's a killer tool. Let me piggyback on that statement before we go and say one thing, folks. If you love, for example, hearing me play on a Richter tune, that takes a lot of skill to play that minor pentatonic blues scale in third position. Well, you got first position to get a minor pentatonic now, and it's ear training you. Jason's right. If you have a hard time hearing with these bends, the step into having the full ear train it. Buy a PentaHarp today. Okay, do the math. Understand that, for example, I'm doing that in D minor on a C. Make sure you get a D PentaHarp or get a whatever. Make sure you've lined up the keys accordingly. And then work on just playing it on the PentaHarp so your ear just hears these notes like it's just ingrained in your brain. Then work on the bending on the Richter. It's a great tool for that.
I've already looked at having some studies done on the effects of the vibration in your eardrums because vibrations are a huge thing. Because I know that scale like the back of my hand because of guitar,
Right.
but on a Richter tune, I had a hard time still finding it, and it's not
Yes.
just the note layout. As I learned it on the PentaHarp, once I jumped over to a Richter tune, I can feel it.
Yeah. See,
and
now
like
I
my
talk.
jaw almost naturally drops to do those bends and stuff. It's
That's
really weird.
great to hear you use the word vibration because I talk about this all the time with students who are having trouble bending. I'm not just listening, I am feeling each bend. I have an association with a vibration that happens specifically mouth, lips, jaw, even neck that I feel, and I associate bends by feel of vibration. So it is a very real thing. When you say that, it's like, yes, that makes complete sense. So, all right, we've gone a minute past, which I think is acceptable. I don't think
I,
we've
I was having
gone.
fun.
Any other questions that we missed? Let's just make sure there's nothing on YouTube real quick. Paul, thanks for the suggestion. Full length cover plates would be great too. Hey, that's kind of like a golden melody. Those are really cool cover plates. Maybe there's something there to that down the road. Thanks so much for everyone that tuned in today live. And if you're watching this as a recording, we appreciate you checking it out. And we'll see you at the next one.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See you, Derek.